Hey, soul survivors, welcome back to the channel. Feel free to join in with questions and comments at any time. And we are going to talk about the hangry. I don't like saying that word. We're going to talk about the hangry student that I had today and what that can kind of tell us about narcissism. So, children are still developing empathy, their thought processes, how to handle their emotions, what their emotions are. And the way the narcissist brain works is a lot different than empathetic people. They don't necessarily process what emotions they have. They have limited emotions. And um, so they're trying to figure out what each emotion means. So this child, he's the one I've been telling you about that is highly aggressive and he's getting more and more aggressive. There's some stuff going on. I'm not saying he's a narcissist. For one thing, he's too young to diagnose, but he was getting very aggressive, kicking things and just really getting out of control. So he was offered some food to eat and he turned it down, and then we called in the mom, and the mom was like she brought him some food that he liked a little bit more, so he ended up eating and he felt better. And, they were asking, it's a term they use, "Are you hangry?" And he's like, "No." So he finally eats, and he's like, "Well, I didn't think I was, but I thought, I was just hungry and angry." And that's what hangry means, and he knows that. But he couldn't put the two pieces together to understand what he was feeling. Thank you for that thumbs up. I see Mia's in the room. Somebody else is too. Good evening. Hoping you had a good day. You do not know how I look forward to seeing you. Yes, I look forward to seeing you guys too. I've been looking forward to it. It's going to be a short one though, because I'm super tired. You can probably see it in my eyes, but yeah, tomorrow's a super busy day for me. So I definitely wanted to see you guys tonight. So how's your day going today, Mia? Oh, I got another thumbs up. Yay. First thing is always a thumbs up. I appreciate that. It really does help with the algorithm and growing the channel. Helps you guys too, because that way you have a larger group of people commenting, interacting with you, giving some advice too. Different perspectives are good. And so thank you for that. So perspective, let's talk about perspective. I've been looking through all these different comments from people, trying to understand people in general. And I've got all these thoughts going through my head about, it's almost like we have a split world. We do have male and female. We have, and I know there's the gender fluidity or whatever the correct term is, but male, female, masculine, feminine. And then we have, right versus wrong, Democrat versus Republican, and everything is like split. And you read these comments, and it seems like the perspective. The one I just watched, it was a little girl. It was really cute, but let's comment below if you have any thoughts on this, and feel free to type away, guys. I can interact with you guys at the same time. But it was this little girl, and she's probably about 2 years old. So Mia says, quite still kind of upset. No Hoover. However, I understand that it was never love and I am so much better off. Yeah. To chase somebody to dismiss us, or to hope for somebody to come back so they can treat us like crap. There was one lady who posted, that this person treated her so good. Um, took really good care of her, and I can't remember affection, or I can't remember what she said, but she was always so tired. And it affects you in ways that we sometimes don't see. So she knew he was a narcissist. I don't know the person, I haven't evaluated their story, but a lot of us will say how drained we are, and it takes the life out of you. They're soul suckers, and that's why we want to be soul survivors, because narcissists will drain you. And a lot of times you don't even see it, and by the time you're too tired, you don't want to think, process it. And but the little girl, I got another thumbs up. Thank you. John is here. So, John, how are you? I know you were burying your hamster sometime today, is what you were talking about. He lost his hamster yesterday, the night before. And so the little girl had her little binky, her little pacifier, and the parents are trying to get her out of that habit. So what they ended up doing is they took her outside, right by their sidewalk. They dug up some dirt and they planted the binky, and she's watering it, and they come back the next day. So before the child sees it, the parents go outside and they remove the pacifier, probably throw it out, and they plant these cake pops, which are kind of like little cake suckers. And a lot of sprinkles, things like that. The girl comes outside and she sees, whoa, my binky just turned into these cake pops, these delicious cake pops. And she's eating it and all confused, like, how did this happen? And, you know, the one older brother was like, "Can I have one?" And the mom's like, "Just wait, just wait." And the little girl does her little thing. So people were commenting on the mom telling him to wait. Others are like, um, saying she was dismissive. Others are like, it was probably his turn first, when he was 2 years old. And just the comments back and forth about, well, we lied about Santa and the tooth fairy and the kids turned out okay. That's a creative way to do it. Other people are like, why is it so cute that parents are lying to their children? They're saying that the kid's going to grow up messed up because she's not going to understand, or this thought went through my head too. She's going to go find whatever around the house and start burying it, hoping for cake pops. And that's where you can see sometimes little lies, just, fun things can sometimes traumatize a child, confuse a child. Not always, though. So, you know, um, looking back, is Santa a good idea? But Mia says, hello, John. Good to see you. So, hopefully, you guys had a good day. Mine was pretty good. I had to stand outside for recess, which it's cold in Michigan. I'm an art teacher, don't usually do that, but I had to sub for a teacher, so I had to go outside in the cold. John says, I finally finished one tri-wheel roller skate with the detailing. That's cool. He's going to make some really pretty cool skates. They're three-wheelers where they have two wheels up front, one in the back, a little bit raised in the back. Mia says, Cynthia, how were the kids today? I don't know if you can see my eyes. I'm drained. It was 6:30 and I'm like, do I go live at 8? I'm going to sleep good tonight. I did painting today with two of the classes. I only had 3 classes today. I'm supposed to do 2 classes where I sub so the other teachers can meet with the principal, and it turned out to my planning period turned into it like a sub time, and, so I did painting with 2 of the classes. Oh my gosh. You gotta be on your toes with that, especially the kindergartners. They're cute, they're sweet, lots of hugs, but exhausting, and, um yeah, as far as the hangry kid, that's a good way to see that the narcissist doesn't process things. Also, the sensitivities towards things. But perspective is what I'm really looking into now because perspective really matters. If I show up late, am I blowing you off? Am I not considerate of your time? Or was something really happening. So, there we go. John, you're such a tease. It's extremely warm where you are. How warm is extremely warm? Because right now, 40. I'll be happy with 40. We're supposed to get snow. I think only a inch and a half, foot and a half, and I don't have school. But Mia, thank you for asking. Trying to think of other things that happened at school today. Just the way they lie. And right in front of people's faces. Narcissists will do that too. And like one little girl, they were calling this one kid a butthead. Yeah, the word butthead. And thank you. Mia says, Cynthia, may God bless you. Yeah, I love my job, but it can be exhausting. The kids, it's like nonstop. You got to remind them. You got to remind them. They'll promise you that, oh, it's, they always have to talk, always, just like the narcissist, always has to hear own voice, and everything is centered on them. We talked about yesterday how that one little girl started crying. She thought I was mad at her, even though she knew she was doing everything wrong. Right. She took it personally and she couldn't weed out, like, I know this person's not talking about me. Mia says, how long, if I may ask, have you been a teacher? Forever. Depends. I've been a college professor, taught criminal law. I've taught preschool. I've taught, I started age 16 being a gymnastics coach, therapeutic uh, aid type thing, where you kind of teach them stuff, camp counselors. And I've been in Christian schools and severely emotionally disturbed, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I was a moral focus teacher, and I tutor after school. English is a second language. I have, if you have little ones, you might want to have them take some classes throughout school through me. Search my name, Cynthia Schiller, Shiller, no C, where I teach like megalodon and dinosaurs, health classes, why we should shower, body odor. Yeah, you want to stop? um, yeah, I've done a lot. I've been a juvenile probation officer. What other grades have I taught? I don't know. I'm endorsed in 5 areas: elementary, and then K through 12 for English as a second language, health, and psychology, and physical education. I was a gym teacher too. So, and an art teacher now. Phew, I can stop now. So, yeah, I do tutor adults. I can't do that throughout school, but I can do that in different ways. I also do one on one things. Coaching type things if you guys need to talk about your situation a little more in depth or a little more privately. So I do that. I've done a couple of those, and I'd like to expand out on that. Um, Thanks, Mia. Yes, I do tutor adults. Ebony is here. Hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day. And Mia says hello to Ebony. Good evening. And she says it back. So, any new things going on? And I know, Mia, you said you had a hard time with not getting a Hoover. And that's something that, perspective, we can look at it like we weren't worth it, or we can look at it like we know we didn't get that Hoover because our standards are too high. And I'm not meaning too high for us or society, too high for the narcissist, because they don't want to budge. They'll see it as uh, they have to be polite. um, and that's the thing, they can be polite. They can be polite, but I'm saying honest, that's not polite. So I got another thumbs up. Thank you. Ebony says I had a terrible relapse a few weeks ago. Do you know what triggered that relapse? Sometimes the up and coming holiday, or somebody's birthday, or even just seeing other people, somebody not even related to your narcissist. You see two people in love and you start getting pissed off. You see two people kissing and you start getting upset. We now have certain triggers. Ebony says Super Bowl and V-Day were depressing, to be honest. And um, did you spend Super Bowl with anybody? Did you? Sometimes too, we can kind of counteract the sadness. I ended up going to my ex neighbor ended up moving, and I also went to my I kind of screwed up. I also went to my neighbors, they made me dinner, then I went to we'll call him old neighbor friend, and just kind of hung out for a little bit. And during Super Bowl, I ended up driving back to the neighbor's house, and I missed the halftime show. But it turned out to be a good game. I get it that it's been like that for me for years too. Um, but sometimes, there's times we can just have a girl day, with other friends who aren't doing anything. And I know it's easier said than done. And I don't, is it Malila or Malila? I think it's Malila. Leela. I like that. If it's I'm gonna say Malila, and if it's, uh, Lila, just type in Lil and I'll start pronouncing it the right way. So I'm gonna say Malila until you correct me, Lil if it's different. So you say, "Hello, everyone new here." So good to have you here, I hope you had a happy Valentine's Day. Feel free to join in, comment, and Mia says, "Good way of looking at it that way, Cynthia." I just looked at it as he doesn't care. No Hoover, doesn't care. Um, and this is one thing that with perspective, right now, just you and I, we're female friends, we're just buddies, and I don't call you back, and you're like, what the heck, I called her last night, she's not getting back to me, and sometimes we don't know exactly what's going on, so we got to be careful. Does that mean I don't care? But yeah, after a long time, it starts to feel that they don't care. Sometimes they might have moved on and they have to hide their feelings for you. So they might still feel something. And I can validate that is 100% true that they do still think about you sometimes. Depends on what situation that they've created for themselves. Or they're afraid of the fight. Or taking accountability, or it might be too much work. They might lack self esteem to say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. They might be scared you won't pick up. That's the other thing, too, with narcissists, is they might be scared that their attempt won't be accepted. So it's really hard, and each one's different too. There's different levels of empathy and different levels of anger. Ebony says, I looked at her Facebook page and saw a pic of them smiling and traveling to church. I was devastated and deeply depressed for almost a week. Can't look anymore. Not healthy. Exactly, because it's kind of like, they just had like um, they studied teenagers with suicide rates and thoughts of it. And so many of them in today's day and age, with all this modern technology, social media, that there's such a high increase ever since social media has been out, that suicide rates have gone up, or at least the desire to think about it. And it's the comparing, and, now we can see how many likes. Like right now, do I like you or do I like John better? If I did my little thumbs up for each and every one of you, you know who's my favorite. So, just because one of you might be my favorite, the other could be somebody else's favorite. And it all balances out. And we have to realize those kinds of things because, you know, they and traveling to church. Hmm. What was your person a churchgoer or at least religious? Or is this something new to please a new supply? It's not healthy because we start comparing ourselves, or we start thinking we weren't good enough. Now he's going to church or she's going to church. Why didn't they do that with me? And Mia says hello to Malila. I hope I'm saying it right. So does John. Oh, it is correct. Yes. Cool. So thank you for joining us. Ebony says, I keep telling myself it's an illusion. He's a monster forever and will repeat the cycle. Don't think someone can do that, what he did to me, and suddenly change for a new person. And each and every one, oh, Malila, you keeping a secret. I rejected your message. That's okay. I always tease people. You're fine to do that. You guys are smarter than me. I don't know how to do that. So it's it's a cycle of abuse, just like that little boy I was telling you about. There's times you can have a great conversation with him. One on one, they're usually a little bit better, but that cycle's going to repeat. He's going to have an outburst again. Um, it's the state that they're in, and it's really hard to comprehend because they're so intelligent. But we have to remember there are different parts of our brain that deal with different things. Certain parts of our brain deal with us hearing and our heart regulation and like everything like that, like our pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. deals with that too, but, that's all up there in the brain, and, the, uh the portion of, reading or math skills, that's all in there. That's all in there. But the brain portion that deals with the emotional processes is a child's brain. The neurons and neurotransmitters are not connecting and they're misfiring and they're causing a lot of commotion and agitation. And there's also a longing, or a feeling of entitlement. John says a young girl recently committed suicide because of TikTok videos about her. Very sad, and I think that's probably the one that they brought to light because I know it's probably been many, but we're probably talking about the same person, and it is extremely sad. She was the one I couldn't hear what that might have been on CNN. She was hit in the face with something, and I was in the other room. It sounded like watermelon, but I don't think it was maybe a water bottle? Um, I think it was a water bottle maybe. But yeah, it was the next day. Ebony says he's a pastor's son, a disgrace before God. And a lot of times will be that black sheep, they do the opposite to they feel too pressured, so they do the opposite, and that's kind of what the narcissist starts to feel too. Is we're like, whether it's that we need to lead a straight and narrow life, or we have to be open and honest with each other, and they're like, screw this. So Calibri says, greetings to all from Seattle. Hello, Calibri. Look at the beautiful decorations. Malila says, why they hoover when they see you moving on or not depressed about the discard. Um, and this is the best way to put it is right now I taught all day. So I taught all day and I didn't curl my hair, just wearing a little tank top and jeans. I'm still the same person, but you know, if I got all dolled up and I don't know, let's say designer clothes and designer bag and was going to, I don't know, some cruise or some, I don't know, concert or whatever, it's like I look different. Same person, but the narcissist will see our glam up, our getting out of depressed state, us moving forward as, if that analogy makes sense, from, let's say, uh, a model agent, they're going to be like, oh, definitely this one. And they'll also see when you're excited about something that's a natural beauty. That's why a lot of pregnant women have that glow sometimes. It's just that natural beauty. It's an inner vibe, it's an inner energy. And when we do that, that's what they're drawn to. They are energy suckers. So we are more of a supply for energy. And it brings a sparkle to our eye in a sense, and they're attracted to that sparkle. That sparkle is that inner energy. So when you move on, they can get jealous too. Like, y- uh you've seen some people, um whether they're narcissists or psycho or sociopaths, that if I can't have you, nobody can. And that's not love. That's control. That's whew, that is not love. Um, it's an inability to cope with their own feelings. And they're trying to get rid of the inability to cope with their feelings, that they either have to latch onto you to uh, validate their own feelings, that they like, wait, I wasn't the best, you're not going to keep begging for me back. That we still love them or still want them or think that they're the best. So Kalibi says hi to John, and I love all these emojis you guys are using. And John says, hey, it's Kalibri. So yeah, Malila, they will definitely do that. And it could also be too that the grass is greener on the other side. They can do that kind of stuff too. you know, people aren't really attracted to depressed people. If they are, a lot of times it can be used as seeing you in a vulnerable state to where they might take advantage of you. There are some caring people out there. There are some caring people. Um, Great question. Ebony says, what's interesting is my friend sent an anonymous note to the girl saying, please be careful. The man you're with is known for using and hurting women. She responded and called, but we didn't respond. Hmm. Can I ask? Oh, she responded. Okay. Really? How so? Then she called and sent another message saying she was willing to talk to be informed of anything. Wonder if she's seen red flags because she could have not responded. Um, Curiosity kills the cat. Uh, so that can be normal human um, response, because and that response will be based on some trauma. So her reaching out is okay. What is it? Because it could be something, either from her past, somebody lied. I mean, we've all been pretty much lied to. So her question on that, some other YouTubers might say something different on that. She's rock solid in her relationship, but based on her previous traumas, um, she's curious about that. So um, it's a red flag in a sense because we have our red flags. And this is the thing. Um, let's say without getting crass, which I'm going to, but um, if somebody's into anal sex and I'm not, and they keep talking about how wonderful it would be, and I can see that as a red flag. Like this person wants it too much. This is not going good. Red flag. Talk about it. But if I'm into it, then I'm like, it's not a red flag. So it's not where like in that instance you might be afraid they will overpower you. So it's to your ability to have self-esteem to keep your boundaries, or it's a fear you're going to be overpowered. Maybe you were overpowered in a fight, not necessarily anything sexual. um but you got her curiosity up. And how long have they been together? That might be something too, to where she doesn't have enough time to really know what the person is like. Interested to hear on that. How long ago was that? And did you ask your friend to do that? You did. I'll correct that if you want me to. I'm just assuming. Kalibi says hi to Mia, and Mia says hello, K Flyer. Ebony says she responded really harsh. So yeah, she could have not responded. Some people are just curious, you know. Um, Others are like, whatever, it's gonna be bullshit. Could be he's showing red flags, you know. Mia says, K Flyer, thank you. Uh, John says, that's an impression I got from my narc. She tried to ruin my social status to keep me from moving on. And you'll see that too. Yeah, you did go through that. Mia says, Cynthia, do you think that the ex could get to point that they know it's just over? I can answer that if I know exactly what your question is. um, so are you saying where they're not gonna hoover the initial person, which we'll call us, because they probably have people before? Or are you talking about the new supply? I'm assuming you're talking about us, their initial supply before they uh, discarded. And then I'll answer that. Ebony says, I'm saying she was totally convinced that he was this great guy, which he's obviously not. She could have blocked, but didn't. Don't know how long they've been together. Maybe a year. Okay, so a little bit of time. A little bit of time. I didn't know if it was like 3 weeks, 3, 4 weeks. Um, could be, you could be right on that, you know. Um, and yeah, there's probably something, he might have been short with her at one time. And this is I don't know how old she is too. I'm 52. I don't really block people. I just don't. Um, So that sometimes it's generational, uh, and I think I don't know, my cousin just blocked someone, she's my age, you know, she just did that Saturday, um, with some coworkers. She's like, "I just blocked, deleted them, and I'm never talking to them again." So, uh, but I do seem to see more 30-year-olds. I don't know so much about the 20-year-olds. They probably do too. Something about the 30-ish, they do a lot of blocking, not all of them, and then unblock too. Uh, I don't know how old you are, Ebony, or this person would be. Vassal, hi to everyone. Forgot my power bank. My phone's almost dead at 13%. Well, tonight's not going to be too long of, I don't know, you guys energize me. I love you guys. Um, so keep us posted because I definitely want to say goodbye before you forgot your power bank. Well, at least you got 13% perspective. We got to be thankful for what we have. Basil says, Cynthia, shining star like the sun. Oh, thank you. Look at it. Those pretty emojis. And Mia says, hi to Basil. So does John. Kalibi says, I have no hesitation. I block the narcs and their flying monkeys. My emotional and mental health come first. And that's um, uh, a healthy way to do it. You know, that way you're not checking your phone. They don't have a way to hurt you. I prefer where we always say, look, I can't continue this. And, you know, I- I'm not trying to hurt you, but I can't talk to you anymore. And just leave it at that. I think that we would want that. So we should at least give them that. Otherwise, they're going to start trying to find out why, just like we want to find out why sometimes. Emily says, I just felt that 2 text messages and a phone call doesn't seem like a sign that things are grave. In my early 40s, and so is she. Oh, that things are gravy. Those are 2 different ways that they come out. Okay. Um, yeah, if things are gravy, they're going good. And um you got a curiosity up. And we also live in a day and age, though, where the statistics of how many people cheat, that even if we think things are good, it's like, whoa, I know a lot of people, you know, she could be thinking, my coworker is being cheated on, like, and she didn't know for 30 years. But keep us posted if she keeps reaching out. Um, well, yeah, she's got some curiosities. So you're gonna continue talking to her? Or the friend? John says, "I definitely have to stock up on more of that camo tape. The one skate looks animal skin-like now." Ooh. Um, I wear size 8 in skates. Can you make them for me? Like 9 in shoes sometimes, but 8 in skates. I love skates. July is coming. John, do you remember my birthday? Let's see if John remembers. Putting you on the spot. He was so sweet, made me a birthday video. Um, he's a horrible person, period. Okay, so there are some people too, yeah. You look at certain people, you're like, "Why are you with them?" You know? Uh, yeah, and as time goes by, the new supply, it's going to start to affect them, and all the, you know, flowers, jewelry, nice dinners, you know, I'd rather have a hug. I'd rather have, you know, some freaky. No. But, you know, to where you truly know that the person's got your back, you know, as opposed to, I bought you a new car. Sorry, I couldn't be there when you had your cancer treatment. You're like, okay, you know, little things like that. It's like, it's a nice car, but I needed emotional support. Um, I'm still thinking on Ebony's. John says, I definitely have to stock up on that. Yes, you do. Finish that. Ebony says, I won't reach out again. She has the info needed to beware. Um, she has information to uh, watch for red flags. And that's the thing, it's going to start eating. It's that planted seed. So be careful. Playing with fire. But I get it, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. John says, "I'm thinking of an idea to make future ones adjustable for any size foot. Remind me again. I forgot the exact date. Oops." That wasn't fair of me. Put you on the spot like that. July 26th. I'm just giving you a hard time. You're sweet, John. Basil says, to Mia, Kate, and John Moran. Little smiley face. So as far as the glow up, it's not necessarily about the look. It's about the vibe and the energy that they're attracted to, and also just curiosity. Like you found somebody better than me, or I know I could get you back. Be careful on that. Sometimes they will get back together with you, um, just to get you to break up with the person and have no means of really being with you. Ebony says he needs to be exposed. Honestly, I don't care. No fear here. And if you didn't care, you wouldn't reach out. um, and there are times, and I'm giving you a hard time, Ebony. I should be nice. Um, and I mean it like sarcastically. Um, yeah, and that right there, and this is some of you aren't going to agree with me, but the gosh, sorry, talking way too many hours. Um, oh, this is where it gets hard. There are some narcissists that are extremely dangerous, and others that are just jerks. And when we want to expose them, um, if somebody went through every little thing that we've done wrong too, it takes away from others deciding who we are. And time can change people sometimes. Now, narcissists pretty much don't change. So, to tell somebody be careful, but um, some people grow through life, some people don't. And if he becomes exposed and finds out it was you, you will become a target. So, pick your battles. Pick your battles is what I'm trying to say. But I get it. We want to tell people, but then, we're a snitch, we're this, we're that. Um, so just be careful. Melissa, hi. Melissa is joining us and says hello to everyone. Mia says hello. Melissa, so the narcissists are basically stuck. Are you saying stuck in their mindset? Pretty much, if that's what you're saying. Because just like that little boy, the hangry boy that I talked about in the beginning, um, the mom that we called into school, the it was the lunch lady. I came in to sub, and then the mom was there. So all three of us are standing there. The lunch lady is about to go, but she was dealing with him during the incident, and the lunch lady is like, "Well, how do you um, uh, get him to tell you what's wrong? All you had to do was say he was hungry." And she's like, "There's no getting to him until he's de-escalated." She used the word de-escalate. So I know the kids in therapy. So whenever he's going through this stuff, she knows no matter what you say, it's not gonna it's they're not gonna hear it. They're not gonna process it. It's gonna make it worse. So you have to let them come back down, and then you can discuss it. So a lot of times too, when we're in that discard phase, if we get too desperate or needy, because we feel everything's falling apart, we don't understand it, that they're in that brain set too, and we start getting into it too, where neither of us sometimes are processing what is going on. And so he has to bring it down. He has to calm that brain. And that's why when the narcissist, when they're in that crazy state where everything's misfiring and a lot of havoc in the brain, and we're like, look, I didn't appreciate that. And, can we just do it a little different? They're in that like zone, like, what the fuck? In that rage stage, even if they don't like hit you, um, it's a unprocessable processable. Another word I created. Their inability to process. Um, and they're stuck in that. They are stuck in it. It's like every day, like my 5-year-old fantastic artists who don't always listen, um, they're they're stuck in, they can repeat what they need to repeat in the minute. So you're like, okay, are we allowed out of our seat? No, we're not. Where are we supposed to sit at our desk? And you go through all the rules and they regurgitate them, they answer, they even try to interject to control the other kids, even though a lot of times they're the ones that are acting worse. And you do it every couple minutes with 28 kids. That's why it gets so tiring. Um, and as soon as you look away, they're off running throughout, hopping on chairs and crawling under desks. And that's why a lot of times they'll cheat when the opportunity becomes available. Um, it's stuck in the mud. So, yes. And John says, hey to Melissa. Kalibi says, and we got some more people joining in. Feel free to chat away with us. Let me know if you have any questions or comments you'd like to say. Kalibi says, it's just to be aware what these narcs are about. Let them be. Let them waddle in their own dirt of hate and misery. And that's a good point, because everything we do, our energy changes things. Just like if I stop and say, hey, how's your day going? And you're like, good. How's yours? I'm like, good. Well, I'll see you later. That short interaction maybe could have saved my life or caused me to die if the timing when I got in my car and I left, and I either just missed an accident or got stuck snap dab in the middle of it. Sometimes we don't realize what everything leads to. And I know that's an extreme case, but even just going to the gas station, I said hi to you. And because I did that, I found the love of my life at the cash register because the timing was right. So, or wrong, things like that, everything we do. So, guide your life in the best way possible. Uh, and it'll also cause that revenge state where they're going to want to get back at you. And also, this is the other thing too, though, is um, sometimes we can become paranoid that, like, oh fuck, what are they going to do? Or we start checking our phone, or we start getting a little nervous. When we get a little nervous because we're empathetic, or if we have a little guilt over it, they can read that. They'll know it's us, just like I can tell the kids at school, some more than others, but you can tell who's lying. It's you see it in their body language, facial expressions, and you'll see it. So it changes how your life is. Dr. Doom is here. And thank you again for that gift last night. He donated to the channel. And you can't stay. Oh, thank you for the good vibes. And thank you for making Valentine's Day super special. So I appreciate that. Debbie says that she's here too. We had you. Good to have you here. Thanks, guys, for coming back. And they will waddle in their misery. And sometimes too, that if we don't interfere, it ends up being more profound, because when we're trying to interfere, they're like, yeah, you still care about me. Indifference is painful. People don't like to be hated, but at least they're known. At least somebody's in their head. Um, Things like that. It's a different mentality. Ebony says, I hear you. The train he's on will inevitably crash with or without my intervention. But I get it. I mean, I know exactly. I get it. So I'm not judging you in any way. This is just some advice. But, um, and, do as I say, not as I do. Melissa says, narcissist told me God don't mind. Wait, narcissist told me God don't help me getting unstuck. Oh, so as far as them being religious is not going to help them, because a lot of times, yeah, they don't believe in God. They want to be the God of their own destiny. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to understand. Yeah, I don't know. Kalibi says, I saw the I understand you. I was going to think about something else. in regards to your question. Kalibi says, I saw the two narcs today driving out. They probably saw me. I drove up and around the upper parking area and let them go their merry way. I waited in the background and saw them go by. Yep, stay safe, just watch. And Mia says hello to Doc. Mia says hello to Debbie. See, I told you guys, you're going to love it here. Debbie says, I'm so stuck in this horrible trauma bond tonight that I'm miserable. And Debbie says hello to Mia. And um, that is the hardest part you will go through is the trauma bond because we have to break it. We have to break that trauma bond. We have to heal our brain. And I saw this one video today that is fantastic. It's a cup, a water cup, like a mason jar, but no, it was a cup. Um, and so it was filled with water, and she poured some dirt in it and stirs it up. So she's taking the little teaspoon or tablespoon and taking some of the dirt out, and you just see like uh, crumbly crusties and dirty water, and she's just picking some up. Sometimes it looks like a good scoop, but there's still like, this is impossible. She's like, you can waste your time trying to you know fix things by doing it this way, while you just try to repair by taking things apart, taking things out, like let's not yell anymore, let's not, let's do this, let's whatever. um but she's like, the more effective way, and it's a really good demonstration, I kind of want to do it, where you take the water, new water, let's say a gallon jug, and you fill that cup, and it goes in, and all the other water kind of comes out with the dirt, and then it's just overflowing, and it's pretty clean, and I'm sure if you kept doing it, it would be pure water again, um, or at least super, super close. So the analogy from that, the moral of the story is, when you put good things into your life, your cup is going to overflow. And if you're religious too, fill your heart with the love. And um, what was my analogy I was thinking about today? Oh, okay. So I'm not going to get super religious on you guys, but as far as God or the universe, to put your stuff, um, i- your faith in a higher power, because taking it one step out makes a difference. So if I said, um, you're ridiculous. So there's you and me, you're ridiculous. You're not going to like me saying that. Um, but if I say it's ridiculous when you do something, it's not as direct. It's kind of like a softer punch, if that makes sense. So we talked about the hard and soft communication. It takes it a little bit away. So when we're dealing with like our healing process, the pain isn't quite as much in us. That it's either, we have faith in God, or we have faith in the universe, or the vibrations seriously really make a difference. And if you uh, want to manifest things, I have seen it work. It has worked in my life that you can manifest a lot of things in your life, but you have to believe it. You have to believe it. So if I say, I want to be a doctor, it's not gonna happen. I mean, it might, but if I'm like, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor at heart. Just like, growing up, I knew I was a teacher. I'm a teacher. That's who I am. Even though I didn't have my credentials yet. That's who I am. That's what I'm going for. And then you get to it, and then even when you stray off of that you're like, this isn't me, and then you go back to who you are, which for me was a teacher. And it leads you when you change your thoughts and live in that, where you're doing a different job. You're like, this isn't me. I'm a teacher. This isn't me. Not, I really wish I was a teacher instead of working here, because it puts things in motion differently. And also, people see you that way too. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, Debbie. Debbie says hello to Mia, and John saying, hey, Dr. Doom, and also to Debbie. Kalibi says, I had my teeth cleaned by a dental hygienist today and mentioned to her that I'm living with narcs in my building. She knew how crazy these narcs are, and she used to work with one in Arizona. Huh, huh, huh. What'd you say? I said I live with narcs. And I bet you have a beautiful smile. Yeah, they do like to talk to you though when you're getting your teeth cleaned. You're like, I'm trying to talk to you. Debbie says parts of this feels like puppy love. I'm too old for this bullshit. Yeah, we're just and I'm glad you brought that up because they do make us feel young again. Because a lot of times they have that childlike mentality. They can be risk takers, and that brings us back to, our childhoods. Maybe some things that we were missing, or we had to be the good girl, and now we can be expressive with that person. Um, they filled the void, uh, but it was a manipulation, and it with Uh, sometimes you have to word it exactly the right way for what my thought is going, and I'm too tired to keep thoughts in my head. Sorry. Um, uh, yeah, it 60% of that thought's still in that head. And you deal with brain fog too. Plus, I had COVID in December, so dealing with a little brain fog and being exhausted. Deal with me. I'll be better soon. Kalibi says she completely agreed with me on avoiding them. We're going to talk about that brain fog too, Deb. And just responding to them in brief, non-emotional answers when asked. Yeah, and that's how you have to deal with it, when you extend out the conversation, they tune you out, just like the kids at school. Just get to the point. So you have to be very succinct and direct with them. And that's when it works at school. Sit down. And I don't like talking that way. But if you're like, sweetie, it'd make Miss Schiller really happy. And 1, 2, 3, like all that crap. It's like, sit down. And the dirty look. But we have to, we're taught that we have to, make this safe, which it needs to be. It does need to be. But, with this transition of you don't have to listen to other people other than your parents, and they don't respect authority, and it's a scary day and age, that um you want your child to grow up learning how to express themselves and have power over their lives. But if they don't have respect for the cops, look what's going on with the cops. Cops, not all cops are good. Not all cops are bad, but we're at war with ourselves is what's going on. I did tell you I have a little brain fog. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me catch up on this and we'll get into it. But yeah, it brings you back to that puppy love, insecure. Like, oh, do they like me? Are they going to go steady with me? And they broke up with me. It's been like 4 days, and you know, um, yeah, it's kind of like, and that's because it's not the deep level. It is puppy love. It is puppy love. Um, Kalibi says, plus trauma bond. Kalibi says she completely agreed, and yeah, non-emotional. Let's stress that, non-emotional. If it's emotional answers, it's done and over. It's going to be an argument or discard or silent treatment. John says some people can't understand my drive to invent things, but if I didn't like what I do, I certainly wouldn't be doing it. Yeah, that's a part of you. And I can tell you have a passion for it. So keep doing that. It feels good to do it. It's an accomplishment. You get your creative side going. And that's very healthy. That's John pouring into his cup, getting rid of some of the negativity. And Kalibi says, too bad, John. I live far from you. I'd be interested with your inventions. Let's all go. That's the we'll do the oh, I don't know if that'd be safe, a roller skating cruise. I told you I couldn't go on our 8th grade cruise. It was just to Boblo Island, that amusement park. We talked about that before because I was in a wheelchair, broke my foot and my arm. Two different incidences, fell off my crutches and broke my arm because I fell off my crutches and had to be in a wheelchair because I couldn't use my crutches anymore. But my mom thought I'd roll off the boat. And I was going to say, we should do that convention where we use your skates, have a little skate party. But see how little things from our past pop into our minds. Um, he's talking about skates. I'm talking about, a c trying to do, "Hey, let's do that on a cruise," and see how, like, our minds bring things from our childhood. That's from 8th grade, 12 years old. That's exactly 40 years ago. That memory from 40 years ago, came back. Just where I didn't think about it today. So, sometimes our narcissists are gonna think about us. Who knows when, you know? Some memories can lay dormant for years, and others are situational, just like we had a situational thing where that popped up. Um, and Klebe said, yeah, we gotta, I'm trying to figure a way for us to somehow get together some way. John says, I wouldn't mind sharing my ideas with you, Klebe. And Klebe says, thanks to John. Debbie says, I wish I could feel what he feels like when it comes to love. I lost it today and I had myself begging. Someone needs to take my phone away from me so I'm not tempted. That's a hard thing, I know, because, um, we think about, you like that analogy. Thank you. Yeah, I thought about John pouring into him. Yeah, and you can see it. Sometimes, the signs are there for us to learn. We have to look at it. And, but, thank you for saying that, Mia. So let me ask you this. Are you saying you wish you could feel what he feels when it comes to love? You wish you could not feel deep love? Is that what you're saying, that you really wish that? So you might. I'm just asking a serious question because it does hurt. It does hurt. Um, you know, you think about it, it's like, and I know you're talking about like a love interest, but we're going to relate it to a child interest. So, I have a child, and something bad, it passes away, and it's like, oh yeah, well, it's nice just having them for a while. They're kind of cute and silly, but well, I'm going to go out to eat now. Um, I'd rather have the deep love. I'd rather have the deep love, as opposed to, yeah, that was nice. Yeah, my child's gone, but that's nice. You know, um, but with deep love comes deep pain sometimes. And I get what you're saying, but careful what you wish for, because you're kind of building up those walls to that. And if that's what you can be, I'm just saying, you would like to see what level he's on when it comes to love. Or am I a mommy figure? Gross. Yes, that is kind of gross. Um, yeah. And in all honesty, we are kind of searching for our parents a lot of times. We want somebody, we don't even realize it, but we want somebody with our other gender parent. And I don't know how that goes with the gender fluidity that's going on now. And homosexuality, I don't know if they're identifying with, if it's a male who's gay, if he wants to be with somebody like his dad, or if they're feminine, if they want to be like their dad, but if they're masculine, they want to be find somebody like their mom. I don't know how that goes. I'm trying to learn more about that. Kalibi says narcs have no idea what love is, so don't expect any reciprocation from them. Yeah, it's transactional. They will do certain things. Yeah, I got flowers for Valentine's Day. Somebody wanted to have sex with me. They don't want a relationship with me. It's completely transactional, and the transaction didn't take place. But yeah, it was like, what, like, where's this? And it's like, oh, you're trying to take, uh, you know, advantage of a situation. Like, how about some Valentine sex? And I'm like, it was just odd. So, but it had nothing to do with love. We'll put it that way. Had nothing to do with love, his intentions. So they'll invest in things, they'll do sweet things, but it depends on what we think. If I'm like, oh my gosh, he loves me. Um, no, I'm like, I can't be with you. You don't want a relationship. And he's like, no, I guess I understand. At least he wasn't pushy. He was respectful, which is nice. Um, but they're a lot of times transactional. Debbie says, I would like to see what level he's on. And I get it. That's pretty much what all of us are like. Did they love me? Or, okay, they were nice to me. They did. Like, is it not love? It's really hard. And it gets confusing because there's everybody has some narcissistic traits in them or tendencies. And lying to our kids about Christmas. We think it's about Santa. We think it's going to give them this magical thing, and depending on the child, it could traumatize them or it could be the most beautiful experience. Or they start, is that where the downfall comes, where they're like, how can I trust anybody? Even my own parents lied to me. um so it would be interesting, but do our parents not love us because they lied to us then? It was pure intentions, but pure intentions don't always, or naivety, could be naivety of the actual outcome of it, even if it's just that little twinge of I can't trust you anymore. And it grows over time. But yeah, the depth is like a 2-year old. Cuddles and kisses, and then they'll bite your face off and scratch your eyes out. Um, so when they need the love or when they need something, they'll come to you. They need milk, they'll come to you, or food. Uh, but just like little kids, I hate you. You won't let me buy that. I hate you. So that's the kind of depth it is. And I'm not saying anything bad about kids. Kids are still developing it, but um, it's that kind of love. Do our 2-year-olds hate us? Our 2-year-olds are familiar with the motherly scent or the fatherly scent or sound or routine, um, security. But uh, it deepens over time. Um, so anywhere for 2, 5, maybe a 12-year-old, you think about 12-year-old love, what's it like? It's infatuation sometimes, or wanting to be popular, like, I got a boyfriend. Is it focusing on, it's not deep. We'll put it that way. It's not deep. Um, and it feels like it at times. But once they start discarding, um, because they can have long relationships. That's why it gets confusing too. But that's with the love bombing cycle. Just like the 2-year-old, and it fluctuates on how long, you can have a 2-year-old who's calm for 3, 4 days, and then something, they got a belly ache and they're miserable for a long time. They can't express their feelings. And um, Mia says, K Flyer, learning that the heartbroken way, they are cold, so cold. And yeah, yep. And John says, I just set up Abel Hamster's coffin for the viewing for the gerbils. I figured it would be appropriate to have a nice wake for her. And how are they taking it? Are they going up to her and sniffing around her? Yeah, I know, John. How are you doing with that? You doing okay? Or I know that's hard. Um, Lots of love. Debbie says, I have deep love feelings for him. I took a Xanax just to get it off my mind. I don't take them very often. I have real love. And I transactional. Um, Let me get back to that 1 second. Um, Kalibi says they are the bitter truth about narcs. So, um, translational, I said, it might be a typo, transactional. Can or would I say convenience, that you are just a convenience for them? It can be too, where there's no transaction other than, yeah, yeah, I'll just sleep on your couch or I'll snuggle with you. Um, we'll put it this way, as far as convenience, I can, let's say a guy moves in and he's like, uh, you know, um, where it's not a transaction other than, and that's still even one transaction in a big scope. It's always, no, it's got to be transactional. Unless we allow them. "Yeah, baby, you can sleep on my couch, and, I know you're not ready to have sex with me, even though I want it," or whatever. So there's no sexual transaction because they might not wanna sleep with us, so they'll say it's like the beginning of the relationship. And some people I'm encouraging the opposite, build your relationship first. But as far as them just using you, it can be free food, free place to stay, and I was trying to relate it to the transactions because they can do things for us to get us to give up the goods, whether it's free food or free stuff. You know what I mean? Um, it's just a convenience where, yeah, you can take me to work because it's not always living together. A lot of us date without living with our person. Um, so like, hey, how you doing? What do you think? We can talk on the way to work. You want to just pick me up? And I love having conversations with you. And they're like, I just want a free ride. And so yeah, there's times it's just convenient, you know, or they're bored, or you know they need help with something. It's convenient to call you. You know how to fix my washing machine. I'm going to call you, you know, um, with no appreciation type stuff. So Mia says K Flyer is soul crushing, like a knife to the heart, and they twist it. And it can be quite painful, like physically painful. And it causes anxiety. We have to learn how to calm ourselves. The more that we fill our cup, and I'm promising you guys, please think of that analogy with the mud and filling it, and I want to do that so you guys can visually see it. um and the different technique. If you're just doing it this way, it's going to take a long time, and we want to kind of speed up this healing process, and there are ways we can do it. Like today I almost went to bed at 6:30. It's 9:09. I told you guys I was going live at 9, so I kept my promise. I showed up at 8, and I feel good. I'm glad I did that, and I'm going to go to bed happier, um, knowing I didn't let you guys down, knowing I achieved what I set out to do, knowing I'm making a difference, and I stayed on schedule, you know? So I could have just gone to bed and might have thrown off my sleep schedule for tomorrow, and then I'd be dragging, and then I'd be mad at myself for doing that. So schedules can help too, keeping your commitments. So if you told your, you know, buddy friend that you were going to have coffee with them, that you keep that, and remember they have feelings like we do. That's where our empathy comes in. Um, cancel only when you need to, not for your narc coming back. They can schedule just like your friend respectfully scheduled with you. Um, John says it's tough when you care for someone and they don't return it back. And there's times too, like we mess up and, we ask for forgiveness and no, nope, you screwed me over one time. And you're like, oh, you know, um, it's the one and done society right now. Make one mistake, screw that. You don't call me back in 2 days. I am done with you. And they'll do that in the beginning of the relationship too. Um, which I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I had this one girl that I knew. She was dating this guy for 10 days. And she was like, I just don't understand it. Like, none of these guys want to commit. And we're like, oh, how long you guys been together? 10 days. 10 days. They had 2 dates, and she doesn't understand why they're not getting married. Yeah. So um, give them at least a month. Uh, Thanks everyone for your advice. I do appreciate it. And Debbie, we're gonna help you through this. It's gonna take some, join us. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but it'll help keep you accountable, on track, supported. So I try to do these nightly. On the weekends, I go a little bit later, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which will be 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Uh, John says, not yet after the chat. They are excited about it though. Yeah, and they can process things just like elephants. Elephants go back to the elephant graveyard to mourn. Um, Animals, s- sense things and feel loss sometimes too. Mia says, John, or have you fooled for over 20 plus years? I got you, girl. Yeah. Yeah. And it's with that future faking a lot of times too. Um, it takes time sometimes for that mask to fall. Because, you know, things are going their way. Whenever something bad happens is when you're going to see them take it out on you. It's not always something you did. Um, Debbie says, the narc told me that he does lots of porn. I said at the time, good to know. Like, what am I supposed to say to that? So when he says he does lots of porn, you mean he watches it? Um, because sometimes too, whether it's with a girlfriend or I'm assuming you mean he watches it. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's like, uh, and like, uh, that's testing the waters. Um, Mia says, Debbie, please. I mean, not to pry. I had this issue. I learned that porn man means objectifies women, no respect for a woman. Yep, both of mine were into porn. Um, and, you know, one had like he inherited it, but he also purchased his own, but he had this under his mattress, he was hiding all these Playboys from me. Um, and plus, I'm assuming it was hiding it from me. They were worth a lot of money. It had like the Marilyn Monroe one, like the first issues and stuff. So it could be too for the value. But yeah, I was gonna bring up the story where I went over there and he's like, "Do you want to watch a movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, just whatever is in the This is years ago, so I'm like, whatever's in the VHS." And he's like, so it was a porn. I don't know if it's his roommate's porn or his porn, but the other one, yeah, they can be addicted to it, and they do objectify it, and they even purposely do certain portions. They don't do like full body sex. They'll do, little close-ups. Um, and it's to objectify it for you to create in your memory. You see me, you're like, that's a blonde. My fantasy is a redhead. So they just, well, I guess I will say shaved or whatever, but they just had the body parts and you can create whatever you want. She's got brown eyes, red hair, freckles, whatever you want to create in your mind. It's just the pleasure part. So it does change the way people see it. And also instant gratification. A lot of times too, they're entertaining themselves physically, and so they don't need the other partner. Um, and it changes expectations too. Yes, so you're right. It does. I did. Can't remember if I posted. I was going to do one on the brain and porn, what it does to your brain. Debbie says this is my very first live chat. I look forward to being here now, and all of you are such a big help. So definitely join us. We love having you here, and it is a very supportive group. You'll definitely love them. And feel free to hit that like button to help grow the channel. Helps with the algorithm, so we can keep more and more of us supporting each other. So we definitely are glad you're here. John says not yet, after the chat. Oh gosh. There we go. Kalibi says a male narc, now an ex-friend, is addicted to porn. I'm not sure how his partner wife deals with it. Um, yeah, it's kind of curious, do they allow it? Do they watch it together? And or is it being hidden? Um, yeah, I'd be curious too. And I realize you said the word addicted. So just like people with social media can become addicted, we have control over how much and with what we're filling our cup with. We can fill it with toxic water, or we can fill it with pure, even flavored water, to give us what we really want. So don't toxify your happy water. We're going to call it happy water. um Kalibi says Debbie the narc is trying to condition you about porn. Yeah. Yep, trying to open you up to it or even just to have you okay with it so he can watch it. Um, Debbie says, yes, he watches it on his computer. He is in a lot of chat rooms. Oh, yeah, he just needs attention, validation, or to be noticed. Sometimes too, it can be the asshole in the room, but at least he's being noticed, the one who stirs things up, or just living vicariously because he doesn't have his own life that is fulfilling to him. And living vicariously is living through someone else by their actions and lives. John says, by the way, I have materials, including the big wheels I found recently to build a small foldable go kart. John, you got the most creative mind. Kalibi says, John, maybe build something to haul your shopping to your unit. That would be good. That would be cool. Little portable. They have there's something you probably could do. Uh John says I could. I generally use my backpack for small stuff. And it's good exercise too. Get out there in nature. So I know some of you are really dealing with the trauma bond, and it's so painful because it's like a withdrawal. We were literally addicted to our person because we put so much effort into it, because we were so confused and the brain fog and everything that went on, that it is a withdrawal as powerful or more powerful than a withdrawal from cocaine. And it's miserable, but we either go through it or we stay in the cycle, you know? It's kind of like getting through that fire to get to the other side. If we just stop and stay in the fire, we're going to burn. We stay here, it's going to eat us alive. So we got to bust through with, the quicker we get through, the less damage and you know and the quicker we leave. um and I know these long relationships that last forever, so we have to take control over our mind, that when these thoughts pop in our head, that we process them. A lot of people will tell you, just put it out of your mind. There's a time we have to refocus, but we have to deal with it too. So we have to tell ourselves that I was worth it. He just didn't see it. And tell ourselves, I was a great cook. I was there when he was sick. I even went above and beyond and did this. And, I don't know what else I could have done. And um, John says, actually, I've got so many different wheels. It's not funny. Plenty to work from. So, yeah, you got your roller suit and everything. Debbie says the narc loves that I'm stuck on this roller coaster, I'm guessing. Yeah, because when you're confused and up and down, when it's that Pavlov's dog training, they're in control of when you get what you want. So when you finally get it, they're your savior. And you know people don't often leave their saviors. It It's like a reliance on them for having that need met, whether it's a hug because you were so sad for a while, or, that you're pretty enough, or sex, or, um, we have needs too, and usually when you're in a loving relationship, you help satisfy each other's needs and you build and grow stronger, not just take, if 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 you have that cup of water I'm just taking out, it's going to eventually empty out. So as you even see that demonstration, that water's coming down, that soul, which is symbolic of the cup, or the other way around, have you word it, the water is depleted and it's becoming less and less and less. And yeah, there's still quite a bit of dirt, not quite as dirty, but it's left with nothing. If you add to it, it overflows, and we have to add to it instead of um, cleaning out that way, if that makes sense. Take out take out the big chunks, like the rocks that won't come out. Those we have to deal with, but the little stuff, don't sweat the small stuff. It'll work out, once we become happier with ourselves. Um, Debbie says, "Oops, that posted too fast. I wasn't finished. He tried to talk to me about porn, and I told him I don't have a problem with him doing that. I'm not looking to marry him." And do you want to be married? Um, not everybody does. Not everybody does. So Cleby says, "Narcs is all about." I think you're talking about porn. Oh, reaction. Okay. Narc is all about reaction, conditioning people towards porn, fear by stalking, pansexualism. And um, pansexualism, is that when you like kind of go back and forth? I think it's like anything, I don't care. But there's only, oh, I think it's like every, like transitional, it's pretty much anybody is what I believe. My understanding of pansexualism. So it could be a man after surgery to change all that. Debbie says is my understanding. Debbie says, "I was married for 42 years with my husband who died 5 months ago. I'm done with taking care of a man." Oh, so was your, I want to make sure. Sorry guys, I got that brain fog. So is this a new person? I'm sorry. Uh the trauma bond is with your respectfully deceased. Oh, okay. So your husband was in a nursing home for 6 years and you had a relationship with somebody else? Is that what it was, that you were trauma bonded to? I'm just trying to understand who the trauma bond is with. Um, then I can answer a little bit better. So I'm confused on who the narcissist was. And just friends with the idiot, the narc. Okay. Okay. But romantically just friends at all? Not necessarily sexual, but like a crush. Sometimes we can tie into those kind of things a little bit, even if it's not sexual. Um, it, it can form a deeper uh, trauma sometimes. Kalibi says pansexual meaning sexually or romantically. Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you, Kalibi. Uh, yes, Mia says condolences to you, Debbie, on your loss. So, how long were you interacting with the friend? That's the one you're trauma bonded to for, and if it was while your husband was, maybe that's when you needed them. And at first they gave you support, and during a really hard time, they just weren't consistent and you relied on them. You were in a state where you were losing your security with your husband. You were scared, which is understandable. The future can be scary sometimes. And also, um, you know, I'm not sure how you were with your husband, but the anxiety can change the wiring in our brain. And we can get some brain fog too, and not understand, process things exactly correctly. And that was sweet of you, Mia. Mia says, "K Flyer, thank you for explaining what it means. I'm in old school." Yeah, and um, that was my interpretation of it. But sometimes I wanted to make sure, my interpretation is correct because I think it was Miley Cyrus who said she was that. Um, it might have been Jude. I don't think it was JoJo, but she's been with both. But I think she's one way now. I don't know. Um, Debbie says no sex. It was okay. Yeah, I could feel there was some crush at first. Okay. And he went crazy with it, the narc. I've got him the narc for 8 years. Just the past year I got closer to the narc. My husband knew the narc. Okay, I had a feeling there's a little bit of crush somewhere along the ways, which is, understandable. But But yeah, when we get closer, we're becoming vulnerable. We're trusting them with things. And, you know, it's hard when we feel betrayed, or just addicted. We start feeling things are off. Um, oh, yeah, they will. They love the power that they feel. They love us calling way too many times, even though they're like, "Stop calling, you're pissing me off." But then when we don't, you know, they don't like that. Um, because I had where I did the same thing. I blew the phone up way too many times, and 36 messages at 4 minutes. I'm like, "But I love you," and he listens. Doesn't have time to text me back. Well, probably my fault because he, but listens to all those messages for years. Because he screwed me over so much. But he knew, even saved some, and they, saved some certain recordings, and uh, it's very interesting. So I have proof that, yeah, they do enjoy, even though they tell you stop. Um, they like it and they don't. They don't like the inconvenience, but they still like it. And I'm going to have to sign off in just a few moments, guys, because I'm way tired. Um, But you're right. John says, "Listen, Debbie, I lost my girlfriend last year to terminal cancer. It's hard when you lose someone you love. Here's a heart for you." That was sweet of you, John. Yeah, you can relate. Um, he was with her for about 40 years. So Debbie says, "Oh, thanks, John. That means a lot. We had 2 kids together and 2 grandsons." Aw, and those are your blessings that came from it. So cherish those moments. I don't want to have to sign off at this, but fortunately, I'm really tired and I love you guys very much. I will see you guys um, probably tomorrow. 80% likelihood tomorrow, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll be there. So, yes, I do need my beauty rest. My eyes are like tired looking. Um, you're good. Okay. I know I'll see him again. And yeah, are you talking about your husband up in heaven? Um, and I'm glad you're good. So, all right, Calibri, everybody, take care. Thanks so much. Lots of love to you guys. And feel free to leave me some topics you guys would like to talk about, or just some ideas. This channel is going to start growing a lot pretty quickly, guys. And the narc going to hell. Yeah, there's something going on with them, that's for sure. You know, yeah, they destroy a lot of lives. And if they change things around, but are they willing to do that? You know, they don't they don't want to self-reflect on even how to make themselves better. They just move on to somebody else. Mia says, "Thank you, Cynthia, for the live. Please have a good night. May you have a peaceful and restful night's sleep." You too, as well. All right, guys, enjoy the night. You're welcome. And thanks so much. I appreciate that, Debbie. I'll see you soon. Lots of love, guys.